Welcome to Dreadnoks Garage. The Hasbro G.I. Joe A Real American Hero 40th Anniversary Livestream has been and gone, and with that there are a lot of new figure reveals. The news has been reported all over social media, so instead of just rehashing the same thing that can be found on multiple different platforms, I have decided to take a different approach. Instead of regurgitating the same thing that every man and his dog are reporting on, I've decided I will do rating the reveals, giving my own personal rating out of 5 on every new reveal from the live stream and every new reveal going forward. Without further ado, let's rate the reveals. Starting off, even though the next few figures have already been revealed, we finally got to see finished versions. Stalker looks so much better as a finished figure than he did in the initial design renders. It is nowhere near as dark, and the camo pattern is a lot more pronounced. The face sculpt is exceptionally good, giving Lonzo a very stern and determined look, and I think the accessories really top it off. Like a lot of the figures now, it does skew very closely to the original version, and that is something I will talk about in a future video. I've seen some people say they think the colours are off, but we are kidding ourselves if we don't think a vintage coloured version is coming on a retro card. For Stalker, I think he is the best figure of all the new releases that went up for pre-order, so I am giving him a rating of 4.5. I am putting Tomax and Xamot together as they are pretty much the same figure. I really wanted to like these two more than I do. That is not to say there is anything wrong with them, I just think they stray too closely to their original figures. I had the originals as a kid, and both Tomax and Xamot are essential to my Joeverse and Cobra hierarchy, but they just seem to be lacking. The argument can be made that these two should have been in a 2-pack because they are so similar. Even the official pics have the figures mixed up, and while they are scant of accessories, I feel the MP5 inspired SMGs are the perfect gun for them. As it is right now, I think I would prefer suited versions, but these two could be prime examples of being better in hand, so I guess we will see in another 12 months when they are finally released. As it stands, these two get a rating of 3. Before we get on to the next lot, a quick shout out to the artist Valentina Remenar for the packaging art. The two versions of the art marry up together to show a full Cobra logo. And I didn't notice this until it was pointed out to me, but if you look between the lines, you can see the twins in their suited look. The last set of figures that went up for pre-order is the Cobra Viper 3-pack. I will start off by saying I really love the previous released Viper, so I am fairly confident I am going to love these as well. The Viper Officer looks better as a finished figure compared to the digital renders, but I won't be having this one leading my Viper armies. Instead, I'm going to be doing a bit of kit bashing when these arrive, so I am creating a Viper sub-team called the Pit Vipers, which will use the Viper Officer body and standard Viper vest. I really like the inclusion of the blast effects, and the idea behind the accessory footlocker will be amazing when it comes to fruition, but these are the most expensive G.I. Joe classified releases to date. The recent price increase across the board for all Hasbro properties has a lot of people being a bit more cautious, but I still plan on using this Viper 3-pack to build up my Cobra armies. I am not going to mention how many packs I am getting because my partner watches these videos and I don't feel like sleeping on the couch. I kid, she is very supportive of my hobby. I am giving the Cobra Viper 3-pack a rating of 4. The next lot of ratings are going to be on the brand new reveals from the recent live stream. Since they are digital renders only, the rating can, and most likely will, change when the actual figures are revealed. First up is Zoerana. I am biased, as I really like the Dreadnoks faction, but this was the best reveal for me out of everything shown. In my opinion, she didn't have a good figure until the modern era line, and that in itself was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. This new version is exceptional. It looks like an older version of the modern era version where she has grown her hair out a bit. While it may be a callback to that modern era figure, the blonde regrowth in her hair on the classified figure is such a great touch. All up, she looks like a punk rock biker chick, and if the finished version can be even close to the render, I think she may be in the running for figure of the year for me. Plus, she has the much requested double elbows on female figures, so that is another win. I was almost tempted to give Zoerana a straight up rating of 5, but I want to see what the finished version looks like, so for now, she gets a 4.5. The next revealed was Dusty. I started collecting G.I. Joe in 1986, and as a 1985 figure, Dusty was always one that interested me. As time has gone on, I have become less and less interested in him. That is not to say there is anything wrong with this figure, but it is not one that I feel I must have. Just like Barbecue. Now, I do have Barbecue, and I will most likely still get Dusty. I am just hoping that the finished figure has something a little extra to get me excited for him. I guess the accessories have a lot riding on them. I think that Dusty, other than the Arctic Storm Shadow, is the first climate-specific figure so far in Classified. Dusty would fit better in the climate here in Australia compared to someone like Snow Serpent, but I'd prefer the latter more. I am giving Dusty a rating of 2.5. Crimson Guard is up next. I really like this so far, even just the render. It looks regal and aggressive. According to Lenny, the insignia is a sculpted detail on the chest, and overall the figure looks really majestic. The Crimson sub-faction is something I want to see explored more, and I am hoping we get Crimson versions of the Twins, Baroness and Vipers. But I digress, back to the Crimson Guard. The only thing that does look a little off is the head seems a bit small, but I have no doubt that it will look fine once the finished figure is revealed. Hasbro, if you're watching, please, please, please include a Fred head with the Crimson Guard. I will personally use that head on future classified suited bodies to make Cobra businessmen and lawyers. While somewhat on the subject of removable heads, please make all classified figures neck pegs compatible so we can swap their heads easily. If you could make the neck pegs compatible for all the lines like Marvel Legends and Black Series, then all the better still. I seriously went on a bit of a tangent instead of talking about the Crimson Guard, but I give it a rating of 3.5. The first of the next lot of Target exclusives is next, the Python Patrol Trooper. I'll start off by saying, while I appreciate the work involved to get the deco looking so good, I will probably pass on this. I didn't mind the Python Patrol Viper and Bat, but I am not really interested in this figure. I am happy that Hasbro is using the sub-team repaints as their store exclusives, as that just makes it easier to not have to worry about chasing them down. Looking at the Python Patrol Trooper, there are parts I could easily use for kit bashing, and I like the different skin tones, but overall, nothing really excites me for this. So with that, I will give the Python Patrol Trooper a rating of 2. Another Target exclusive, Tiger Force Recondo. I'm not sure on this one. On one hand, it does look good. On the other hand, it looks way too dated. Do people still wear their mustaches like that, unironically? For a jungle trooper, he can maintain a well-sculpted moustache. A little bit of a story. Back in 1989, here in Australia, we received an Australian version of the G.I. Joe comics. They were simply reprinted Marvel comics in black and white. There was a character called Digger who was meant to be an Australian member of G.I. Joe, and he introduced the story of that particular comic issue. For the longest time, I thought Recondo was Digger. They are practically the same, even down to the Australian Akubra slouch hat, even though Digger is just a copy of Recondo. Maybe Hasbro could do an Australian exclusive version of Digger down the line. As for Recondo, I think I will rate him as a 3. I think I will prefer the regular version repaint. Tiger Force Bazooka was the next one revealed. I do like this one, even in the Tiger Force colours. He looks like a big bruiser and an 80s sitcom dad all rolled into one. I always think of Webster's dad, George, whenever I look at Bazooka. The new torso is interesting as it has a new ab crunch design, but I don't think there is much they could do to stop the numbers on the jersey looking weird when the torso is moved. I think this is one that I will chase down when it is finally released. I get a feeling some of these later Tiger Force and Python Patrol figures will be easier to come by than previous Target exclusives. I like the colours of Tiger Force Bazooka, and even though the red jersey vintage look is far superior, I will be happy to have this version to begin with. I give Bazooka a rating of 3. In a reveal that took everyone by surprise, it is Kamakura. This is another one that didn't grab me from the start. It just seems a bit lacking as well, or it could be ninja fatigue that I have, even though there hasn't been a lot of ninjas yet. While it has been a few years since I read it, I remember enjoying the Master and Apprentice comic that featured Kamakura. I am intrigued to see what accessories he comes with, and the alternate head is a great start. I would have much more preferred a new red ninja on this Storm Shadow body. The inclusion of Kamakura, and so early in the line, is a good sign Hasbro is looking at the entire 40 years of G.I. Joe, a real American hero, and not just the 1982 to 1994 era. The inclusion of Kamakura now really opens it up to other comic characters such as Quinn, Dr. Venom, Wraith, Zanya, and Crake. Until I see more and what accessories Kamakura comes with, he is sitting in the middle of the road, so he gets a rating of 2.5. The last reveal is divisive, to say the least. There are people who screamed as loud as they could at the beginning of the line, saying they wanted faithful recreations of the vintage line. Now they are screaming this next figure is not what they meant. In all his shirtless, bondage-looking glory, it is Dr. Mindbender. I really like Dr. Mindbender. I started collecting G.I. Joe when it was becoming more fanciful and out there, so I have no problems with this. I am not a big fan of soft goods, so I am hoping Hasbro does something good with Mindbender's cape. If they could make it look like the card art from the vintage figure, I would be very happy with that. This is another example of how good the design team are when it comes to the head sculpts. The monocle has a bit of tech included on it, and the eye behind the monocle is slightly larger to give it a magnified look. I will most certainly be adding this version of Dr. Mindbender to my collection, and I will patiently await the lab coat version, which I am sure we will see down the line. I give Dr. Mindbender a rating of 3. What are your thoughts on my ratings, and what do you think of the latest batch of reveals? Let me know in the comments. And with that, Dreadnoks Garage is now closed. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other videos.